Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Michael Crawford-Hicks is a photographer and the founder of the Disability Sports Network. He specialises in photographing disabled sports and was even a photographer at the Paralympic Games this summer. Networking has been really beneficial for his business and has even led to a visit to the House of Lords. Thank you very much for being my guest on the podcast today, Michael.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Now, you're a photographer and specialising photographing disability sports, but I know that you're an engineer by trade. So tell me about being an engineer and how you got from that to being a photographer.
I go back to when I was about 16, 17, and my dad didn't think a photography career was actually a career. So he persuaded me to go and get a proper job. And I went to 2 companies initially for an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And I got one at a place called Penny and Giles. They make data recorders for the aircraft.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a 4-year apprenticeship. He said, you can do your photography part-time, and when you're ready, you can go into full-time photography. I said, okay. That is when you respected your dad's wisdom, should I say. So I still did my photography. My career in electronics sent me all around the world. I actually did robotics. So your mobile phone, I was helping make the first, second and third generation machines to make those.
Yeah, wow.
So all the stuff you see in your office, anywhere that needs a machine to make it, I can make that happen.
Yeah.
And the variety of stuff we helped design was everything you can see on the program, how it's made.
Yeah.
And so how did I transition into photography? I've been doing more and more things throughout my last, say 40 plus years, trying to break out of electronics into photography, but nothing has really gelled with me at the right time until April 2022. When I collapsed at Waterloo Station and blue lighted to King's College Hospital, London, and I was diagnosed with what I've got now, which is functional neurological disorder. This allowed me to reset all my education or my future goals to something else, because this condition doesn't allow me to stand for too long or sit too long, but it does allow me to move around in my chair and nobody bother me. So after about 6 months, I could walk a little bit. So I was improving on that, but I couldn't sit at home doing absolutely nothing.
No.
I would have got bored out of my mind. So I said, I've done sports photography before with sailing, jet skis, windsurfers, kite surfers, etc. But I can't go on to those conditions. In other words, I'm out on a boat or up and down beaches because my hips now and legs won't tolerate it. So I said, but I could sit by the edge of a court or by a track and take photographs of athletes and games in front of me. And then I looked at disabled sports, because the general world of normal sports, and in other words, the able-bodied sports, it's very saturated with hundreds, if not thousands, of photographers. This is not, the disabled sports is hardly represented. Mainly because there's not a lot of money involved in this. With the clubs or in general, there is not a lot of money around it. because they don't think we're worth it. But we are. 'Cause
Absolutely.
we are just amazing people.
Yeah.
So I looked at the photography on stock photography websites. I saw a few good shots, but mainly it was underexposed, or it just wasn't good enough
Yeah.
to promote that sport. I said, I can do better than that.
Yeah.
And I went to a mini conference. It said access to sports for disabled people. And I said, oh, that would be good to go at and see what is available anyway. There's a free lunch, so I'll go for a free lunch. And during this talking, Gemma Stevenson, who's a lawn tennis Paralympian, was speaking. Basically, BBC, ITV, Channel 4 and the rest do not have enough airtime for doing sports for the disabled. There's just physically not enough time or money, really. But she said, we can. And I said, well, hang on a minute, how? She said, well, there's YouTube, there's Snapchat, there's TikTok, there's Instagram, your own website, etc. If we've got unlimited, almost free resources that we could do it. And I said, oh, wow, hang on a minute. That means I can do it as well. I don't have to compete. I can do it on my own terms. I don't have to adhere to a master, should I say, tell me what to do. So then I got the idea, the name, the Disability Sports Network, about 5-10 minutes before she finished speaking, and we went to lunch. I actually checked the domain quickly on my little domain checker, and it was available. I said, okay, finished listening to Gemma speak, and then as we went for lunch, I checked the spelling on the internet. Yes, and it's still available. So I just purchased the name there and then.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, that's £12. I don't know why I've spent it. And then within 7 days, I had a website with stock images because I hadn't got anything at that time. On the 8th day, I actually photographed a wheelchair basketball game in the University of East London, out in the sticks.
Yeah.
And I said, and I basically went from there, and I was getting 30 visitors a day from day one.
Yeah. And
then photographed another wheelchair basketball match 2 weeks later. After that game, that second game, the opportunities started to arise for more things to photograph.
Yeah.
And I said, I haven't got a lot of money now at the moment. But what I was doing was on a shoestring.
Yeah.
Literally, with what kit I had, it made do. And it proved to me that I could photograph these sports. And in March, I took another risk and paid for the stand at the Disability Expo in July.
Yeah.
I had no idea how I was going to raise the £600 plus VAT, but everything dropped into place for this show.
Yeah.
Getting the events to photograph, getting funding for this, that, and the other. So I didn't have to take out any loans. When I showed my stuff that's the photographs of my limited range of sports so far at the Disability Expo, my stand was so busy, it was unbelievable.
Really? Yeah.
And people were asking me, oh, please keep doing this, Michael. We need you, etc. So it's a lovely boost to my morale.
Yes.
So you had all these people, and it wasn't just one person, it was random.
Yeah.
Etc. So after that, I attended the International Blind Games and because I was curious on how blind people played sports.
Mm.
I had no idea, and that's where I got hooked on blind football,
Yeah.
blind chess, blind cricket, and each has their own way of doing things,
Yeah.
and it's an eye-opening thing.
Yeah, must be.
And I found showdown and go ball.
Yeah.
They're all different sports for blind people. And it opened my eyes a lot. So it was just interesting to photograph something other than you normally see. In other words,
Yes.
the normal cricket, football, rugby, tennis, or whatever. This is completely different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was excited to get these completely different shots. And my enthusiasm and my photography were changing
Mm.
because I wasn't concentrating on the sport as much, but I photographed the person behind the sport,
Yes.
trying to get expressions on with their body or their faces as they grab the ball or whatever implement they were using. It was it's not just a straight shot. It's now there's a person there.
Yeah.
And I started to see the different disabilities where a person for example, in a wheelchair has got a leg amputated or only half an arm or something, but they're still playing and enjoying the sport.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel that because you have a disability yourself, do you think that has helped you in being able to photograph other disabled people doing sport, because you have more of an understanding perhaps of what they're living with?
Because as I was doing my research before I got into the photography itself, I looked at some photographers' work and they said sitting volleyball, which is people who can't really use their legs, which is fine, but the person who was photographing it was shooting from an angle of a standing photographer and not a sitting photographer.
Yeah.
So they were looking down on them, and I said, well, that's not the way to photograph that sport.
Yeah.
And all his images were that way inclined.
Yeah.
And I said, hang on a minute, no. We've got to get into see the people as they hit the ball or push the ball over the net.
Yeah.
So I said, and I did check him out, and he was an able-bodied person. So there's the error of an able-bodied person being sent to photograph a disabled event.
Yeah.
Which I think that must have been his first event, because he didn't realise what he was doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we wanted to showcase sitting volleyball, we shouldn't really use any of those images because they're not showing the actual action, should I say, from the player's perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what I've seen, how my photography has improved, it's changed, because I'm getting down to their level.
Yeah.
Because I have to sit, and it's either chair height or less.
Yeah.
And you just see different things at that angle.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about the Paralympics, because I know you were there as a photographer. How did that come about?
Because I was setting my business up, and I was getting ready for the Disability Expo, and I did see something about the Paralympic entry requirements, but I forgot to go and pursue it. So I was about 3.5 months late even talking to them, which is not necessarily very good. But I sent a couple of emails saying, look, it's the only chance I can get a press pass, explain the reasons and what I'm doing, and basically silence for almost a year. They said, oh, we're working on it. And then Kate, the person who was in charge of it, she said, what we are doing now is doing the second round of tickets, should I say, or passes. And I've put you forward for one of those. I said, oh, thank you very much. You know, whether I got it or not, I didn't know at that time. So about a month later, I got an email through saying, I hope you're happy. Here is a press pass.
Fantastic.
And I was stunned into silence. I couldn't reply to Kate for about 8 hours. It came through in the morning and I had to wait until the afternoon to calm down. Then, so I got it through the second round. But when I got to the Paralympics, I actually met Kate and the person who vetted me. And he said, what you were doing? Oh, you're that person. Now it rings a bell. Yes, I vetted you. So I met the person who said it was okay. But I'd been doing disabled photography for about a year to that point. And I had plenty of stuff on the websites. So I wasn't a newbie, should I say.
Yeah. So tell me about some of the events that you got to see and to photograph.
What did I get to see? Wheelchair basketball, wheelchair rugby, blind football, boccia, table tennis, archery, fencing, and a little bit of track from odd angles as I was returning the camera to Nikon. I think it was a 200-meter final and a couple of shot put. And you're going to ask me now, what's my favourite? Blind football, but wheelchair basketball, preferably the ladies.
Yeah.
They're a bit more tactical and very enthusiastic.
Yeah.
They'll give you lots of emotion if they win.
Yes.
Compared to the men's or the wheelchair rugby.
Yeah.
So if you want some good girl hugs or whatever, as the way they do celebrate, that's one of the best that I wanted to try out and see what I could get. Like the ping pong ball in the eye socket, as it's a technical term, where it covers the eye as they're doing the bits and pieces. Because somebody told me a few years ago that was an impossible shot. Sorry, I got it on my second go. So I think they were just trying to tell everybody, don't try it. It's easier than you think. So there was a few technical things I was trying out there.
Yeah.
So it's great because I'm not tied to any agency or publication.
Yeah.
I can do what I want to get the shot.
Yes.
If that meant moving around during the half time or something like that, I could do that.
Yeah.
I don't have to get the perfect shot. Should I say the perfect team type shot? I can get the action shots that the team would like or the player would love.
Yes, the individual.
Yes. So it was a lovely freedom, should I say?
Yeah. Sounds like it was an amazing experience that you've had there.
Well, 12 days of photography takes a punishment on you, regardless. I took 25,000 photographs.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm still sorting them out.
I bet.
I was just about to go back into them and find out some more general shots of the overview, should I say, of the Paralympics. The stadiums, the little figs, which is the mascots, etc. But I did see the opening ceremony close up.
Yeah.
I was granted a very prestigious press pass for that.
Yeah.
But from my angle, I didn't see much.
Mm.
It was better on TV.
Yeah.
But we did it. I think I was just trying to get the best shot, but from where I was sitting, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But I had the experience of an opening ceremony.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, and not many
yeah.
people get to have that. So let's come
No.
now to networking, Michael. How do you like
Yes.
to network for your business?
Right. I started with Small Business Britain,
Yeah.
and they help you with various online seminars, actual meetings, in-person meetings to come and network with fellow photographers or fellow business owners in your area. Then I had a look at some of the Enterprise Nations seminars,
Yeah.
and they give you free one-to-one with mentors
Yeah.
and networking events. So it all helps.
Yes.
You might only get one sentence worth out of a seminar, but you might find an amazing contact when you're allowed to talk to people.
Yeah.
I also joined the Federation of Small Businesses, FSB, and with them again, it's mainly networking, but they do a twist where we actually have to give a sort of 30-second pitch at the beginning of the session so we know what each other does.
Yes.
And who we need to talk to, rather than saying, oh, hello, I'm such and such. What's your business?
Yeah. Yeah.
We now know that they are an accountant or a graphic designer or something else.
Yeah.
So if we don't want accountants, we don't talk to them. Not being rude, but it's waste our time.
So what would
And
you say that you've got from networking for your business? How has it helped you?
It's got me into different circles. Like the Small Business Britain has the Lilac Review, which is all about disabled access in life.
Yeah.
Then I replied to a note by Soda somebody, and I said who I am, and they said, you've got to come to our meeting. And I said, what's this? And this was on the Thursday, and they were having a meeting at the House of Lords with the Disability Policy Committee.
Yeah.
And it was completely out of the blue. And
Yeah.
she said, no, because you do sports, you've got to come along. And I said, what's this all to do? Because I couldn't find much on the Disability Policy Committee at that time. So I said, okay, I'll accept your invite. Went along, and the whole event was related around sports. And I said, oh, now I know why they wanted me here.
Yeah.
Because I do disabled sports, and that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
So I'm actually having a meeting with one of the head people next week to show my work to them and see how we go, because it's all about sports and access and how accessible sport is to disabled people.
Yeah.
So with me going to the Paralympics, it sort of put a dent in when I could talk to them. But I'm going back now with, if I don't print any more up, 26 images plus of brand new images that perhaps they can use or something like that. I'm not sure what's happening, but the networking is opening up various doors every so often.
Yeah.
At one of the FSB meetings we had online, a lady called Deb said, we do need authentic disability photographs. And I told her that is one of my key things I want to do in the future, is go and photograph disabled people doing normal things.
Yes.
Don't put a normal person in a wheelchair and do it.
Yeah.
We want a disabled person in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And we can describe their illness if necessary. And she said, yes, because I've just done a report and I wanted to put some of those images in. And she said, I couldn't find any good ones. So I said, that's my second phase of this business, is to get authentic disability images in
Yeah.
to a stock library, or do it for my own. And we go from that to showing real images in a report instead of these weird pseudo
Yes.
disability images which don't look right, and it doesn't sit right with 99% of people.
Yeah.
So that is going to be a great demand. I've just got to work out a business plan on how much I pay the people in the photograph, and then how much to charge out for the bits and pieces. That's just need to talk to an accountant. So, but that's again, there's somebody talking on finance later this week, so I can ask that question.
Yeah.
And how we raise the finance to do that initially in small little pockets.
Yeah.
So there's a lot happening in the disabled world that perhaps the mainstream people don't know. You know, that you've got the Lilac report, you've got the Disability Policy Committee, you've got Inclusion London, who are trying to get everybody to working together, and there's other bodies. We're all trying to work together, but we all seem to be coming up to similar barriers that they don't want to change. But there are certain determined people out there like me,
Yes.
who want to change the photography landscape in my business.
Yeah.
That's where the network part of my name, the Disability Sports Network, is going to come in.
Yeah.
I want to add video and stills from other photographers into this library of images we have that other people can use at a fair price.
Yeah.
But it actually conveys the correct message, which is the most important. Then perhaps if I've got a nice set of 10, 15 photographers, videographers, we can then show the world how the disabled community can work, and then perhaps we can start changing minds and attitudes that we are more than 25% of that workforce, as the government says.
Yeah. Well, that all sounds really admirable, Michael. I wish you all the best with your endeavours. So my final question is, if people want to know more about you or find some of your pictures, what is the best place for them to find you?
Online, I'm afraid. Unless you're in London, I will quite happily go for a meeting somewhere. www.thedisabilitysportsnetwork.com, because I have got a .co.uk, but that houses all the images.
Right.
So basically, put in the Disability Sports Network into Google, and it will come up. And I'm on page 1.
Lovely. Well, thank you.
Which is nice.
Always good to be on page 1 of Google. Thank you very much for being my guest.
Well, thank you, Liz, for the invite.
And the best of luck with your business going forward.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.